Okay, so I wanted to do another video on TMAO, which is the substance that's excreted by bacteria in the gut, certain bacteria in the gut, up on your ingestion of carnitine, an amino acid, L-carnitine, and also choline, which is a B vitamin. Both L-carnitine and choline have a myriad of health benefits, okay? So you don't want to go without L-carnitine, and you don't want to go without choline, because these are two necessary substances. L-carnitine is a conditionally essential amino acid, which means it's essential during certain times, such as extreme stress. It also helps with the mobilization of fatty acids into the mitochondria and is responsible for mitochondrial health. Choline is also responsible for mitochondrial health, but shows benefit to the brain and also to cognition, and also with the phospholipid bilayer of cells. The reason I'm concentrating on this is I plan on doing a review for a book called How to Increase Your Intelligence by a guy named Win Wenger. I finally found the book at an affordable price. I've been looking for this book for like 15 years at an affordable price. I was made aware of it actually by a book that a friend of mine that was a calculus professor, unfortunately he recently passed away, he was in his 90s, 93 or so, but he gave me a book called More Puzzles for the Super Intelligent. We would share our love of books and things of that nature. He was a very intelligent man. He was actually my insurance agent for years, but in the book, More Puzzles for the Super Intelligent, it was a book put out by Mensa. There was a thing in there about this guy, Win Wenger, that wrote a book, How to Increase Your Intelligence. Now, Dr. Wenger, who was a psychologist and a member of Mensa, also made another book that was, in my opinion, crap, called The Einstein Factor. And I hate to say that. It was co-authored by a guy named Richard Poe, but compared to How to Increase Your Intelligence, which was the first book, which shows how to physically improve the organ of the brain, it was crap, because the Einstein Factor is just a bunch of meditation and image streaming and things. It does talk about the mammalian diving reflex and things of that nature and masking, but not to the extent that How to Increase Your Intelligence does. So that's why I'm doing this, because part of the stack, what a stack is a number of supplements taken together to elicit a physiological response. Bodybuilders use it all the time. But part of the stack that Dr. Wenger mentions is vitamin E and choline. Okay? And if I do a review of this book and mention choline, every vegan and their mother is going to be talking about TMAO and how it's going to kill you. Now, the thing is, the science is not settled on TMAO yet. It does seem that low doses of TMAO have a protective effect on the cardiovascular system. It also seems one of the best ways to protect from high levels of TMAO is to follow a long-term vegan and predominantly plant-based vegetarian diet. The reason I say this is because in research it has been shown that vegans that were instructed to eat high carnitine meat did not produce elevated levels of TMAO after ingesting either meat, they were instructed to eat meat for the purpose of the experiment, or supplemental carnitine. Now, I supplement with 1 gram of carnitine, 1 to 2 grams of carnitine per day, and I'm confident that my TMAO levels are not rising. Of course, I base this on nothing, because I'm not going for tests, so I want to make sure that people understand that. I also want to make sure that people understand that nothing I say in this video is medical advice or should be taken as health advice. I am not a qualified medical practitioner, nor am I a qualified nutritionist or dietitian. So take that into consideration. This video is for entertainment purposes only. My point is, there are many ways to lower TMAO. Now, some of them involve phytonutrients, the anti-nutrients that the carnivores talk about. Resveratrol knocks down TMAO. And it seems to be that there was a study done with cocoa. It doesn't seem that it has an effect in the short term. It was a short-term study, but what we can see through the use of resveratrol and the Mediterranean diet and things of this nature is that these phytochemicals have a positive effect on the gut microbiota in the long term. Not the short term, but the long term. It takes time to reconfigure the gut, okay? So that's one positive thing. Now, the other thing is, what you have to understand about this is, like I said, the science on TMAO is not settled, and I think that's a problem, and I think people have to keep things in perspective. When you know substances like choline and carnitine elicit health benefits, and this thing just comes out of nowhere, people are talking about TMAO, I think it's reasonable to take things into consideration and to look at the perspective of what is the benefit versus the risk. Everything you eat has a benefit and a risk, even water, okay? And overdoing anything will harm you, even water. There's such a thing as water toxicity or water intoxication. I've actually gotten it. It's when you drink too much water too quickly for your kidneys to get rid of, and it dilutes the electrolytes in your body, and it can cause heart failure and seizures and convulsions and death. I didn't die from it, obviously, because I'm making this video, but I have suffered water intoxication, and I've had to receive electrolytes through IV to rebalance the salt, potassium, magnesium, all that good stuff. Okay, so that's another thing, is that's why I take electrolytes now. I used to follow a very strict low sodium diet because I thought, oh, it's low salt, it must be, I'm following the advice of these popular diet doctors. Well, low sodium might not be good for you if you have a tendency, if you're following a whole food vegan diet like I am. Low salt might not be beneficial for you, and which is good because now I take pea protein as a very good source of protein. So the pea protein, because of how they remove the fiber and the carbohydrates from it, it's in a salt water solution. So it is relatively high in sodium, so it provides me with plenty of salt for the day, because I'm not somebody that actually particularly likes the taste of salt. I'm not somebody that shake salt on their food or things like that. I've never really I don't care for the taste of salt very much. So that's a benefit to me. Now my point is that the restructuring of the gut microbiota through the adherence to a high-level plant-based diet, whether it's Mediterranean or vegan or vegetarian, which is a vegetarian Mediterranean diet, seems to be of great benefit in reducing elevated levels of TMAO. Now remember, 1 gram of carnitine, which is what I take between 1 or 2 grams of carnitine a day, is more than the 56 or so milligrams that a meat eater would get. Okay, so keep that in mind too. Is supplemental carnitine, if you're trying to supplement with carnitine for better fat metabolism and things like that, supplementing with it, you're getting more than when you're eating meat. So that could be something else too. If you're already eating a meat-centered diet and you're taking more carnitine on top of it, you're ramping up your carnitine levels. Also, what you have to consider is the microbiota. There's other things. For example, and I'll do a video, I want to review one of Frank's videos about what he eats now that he's not a carnivore, because it's junk. He's eating this crap, nature's glucose, to feed his gut microbiota, but glucose does not feed positive biota. What you want to be eating is things like beans and stuff like that to feed the gut microbiome, things that it likes to eat, what's called the second meal principle of resistant starch and things of that nature. So my point is that this concept of TMAO is going to kill you, I don't think that it, I think that the jury's still out on that. I think people really need to consider the risk versus benefit. And that's all for this video. Oh yeah, and check the description. I got a lot of junk in the trunk there with the description, so you can follow the links to the studies and things of that nature to know I'm not pulling this out of my ass.